Hey everyone. I got a request on my last video to do a sinister rendition of a kaiju from Godzilla. After a bit of thought, I decided on King Caesar, or King Shīsa from the original Japanese. I'll be using the name Shīsa for the rest of the video. I grew up watching Godzilla movies, and of all the kaiju from those movies, King Shīsa has always been my favorite. King Shīsa's name comes from the Shīsa of Okinawan mythology. The Shīsa are lion-dog guardian spirits. Shīsa statues are believed to keep good spirits in and evil spirits out, and are traditionally placed along the rooftop or flanking the gate to a house. When translating the movies into English, they went through a few different versions, like Caesar and Seesaw, before settling on the name Caesar. While the name Caesar does take away from the meaning a little bit, I think it was a cool choice and adds a bit of mystery to the character. His first appearance was in the 1974 Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla movie by Toho. In-universe, King Shīsa is the guardian of the Azumi royal family. He sleeps within a mountain and can only be awakened via a mystical Shīsa statuette and a song-like prayer. In that movie, he teams up with Godzilla to fight the titular Mechagodzilla before returning to his mountain and locking himself away again. He makes his second appearance in Godzilla Final Wars, fighting under the mind control of the Zillions, the alien antagonists of that movie. He teams up with Rodan and Anguirus to fight Godzilla and is much more agile in this movie, executing flips and flying kicks throughout the fight, which ultimately ends with Shīsa and his fellow mind-controlled monsters collapsed in a heap after Godzilla defeats them by physically throwing King Shīsa into the other two kaiju. He hasn't appeared in any subsequent movies at the time of recording this video, though he does show up in the Godzilla Island show, the Godzilla puppet show, a few of the games, a book, and multiple comics. I had the Godzilla Unleashed game for PS2, which was a lot of fun, and King Shīsa is a playable character in that game. A cool thing about the Godzilla Unleashed game is that it gives his size stats, though I'm not sure how lore accurate they are. It has his height listed at 100 meters or 328 feet, and his weight at 75,000 tons. In all of his appearances, he stands on two legs, most likely because of the restrictions of the costume, but I have him crouching on all fours, mimicking the posture of a Shīsa statue. But with the way I drew it, he could also walk upright. The lore is a little muddled as to whether or not King Shīsa is mechanical or biological in nature, with contradictory diagrams being published for both versions. And here I'm reading directly from the wiki, quote, King Caesar is a mystical defender of the Earth. Unlike the other Earth defenders, King Caesar is specifically concerned with the well-being of humanity and will respond to events that threaten human beings. King Caesar's strongest asset are his powerful legs, which have tremendous strength and flexibility. King Caesar's entire body is a capacitor, storing and refocusing the sun's energy into searing beams of heat, which he projects from his eyes. In battle, King Caesar can absorb the energy from his opponent's weapons, which both protects him from ranged attacks and provides him the power necessary to engage fast-moving opponents at range. His internal batteries are not unlimited in their capacity, and there is a possibility of overload should King Caesar absorb too much energy without quickly discharging it." End quote. I like the idea that he's at least partially manufactured, so I have his armor coming directly out of his body, and the claws being the same material as his armor plates. I've also added more armor than shows up in the original, including a tail spike just for fun. In the original version, he has prismatic eyes that almost look like a dragonfly's eyes. They actually used a car's tail lights in the original suit. In this drawing, I decided to go more along the lines of his second iteration from the Final Wars movie, with actual pupils and irises. One thing I really like about the Godzilla universe is that the characters are almost never black and white. In one movie, Godzilla might be a horrible earth-destroying analogy for pollution, and in the next movie he might suddenly be a defender of humanity and actually fight off other kaiju. And I think that really lends itself to doing evil versions of any of the MonsterVerse kaiju, because they could believably just randomly be the villain of a movie. Like in the Final Wars movie, King Shīsa is one of the bad guys. I mean, he's being mind-controlled, but he's still an antagonist in that movie. For this version specifically, I get the idea that this could be a villain for a King Shīsa-focused story, where a corrupted Shīsa statue is used to awaken this dark counterpart, and the human characters have to go in search of the sleeping King Shīsa in order to wake him up before the Dark Caesar destroys Okinawa. Which sounds kind of silly, but I think it'd be fun. With the amount of Godzilla content coming out in recent years, I'm still holding out hope that we get a new appearance of King Shīsa, whether that be in a video game or an anime or even in a live-action movie. I'm not sure how likely it is that we'll see him in a live action movie, but it would be cool. Outside of video, he was featured in something else recently. A couple years ago in the Magic the Gathering Ikoria set, they had Godzilla themed cards, and one of those cards was a King Caesar card, which I did go out and buy, along with a Destroya card and a Space Godzilla card. Going back to the drawing though, I do really like his original color scheme, but for this evil Shīsa, I'm going to change it from golden red to a darker maroon and iron color. And I was thinking about making the teeth iron as well, but decided in the end that I liked it better with the normal bone color. All in all, I really like the way this drawing is turning out. I've changed enough that it kind of starts to feel like its own character and not just Caesar but evil, which was my starting prompt, but these kind of things evolve as you go. And now I'm going through and adding my shading, using those same techniques that I talked about in my last video, where I go through and shade with black and then drop the opacity down. I was going to do more of an airbrush shading this time, but drawing Godzilla monsters kind of got me back into my old, more anime style, with cell shading and all that. And I like the style, I think it fits the drawing. But now we're getting near the end of the video. I definitely had some fun diving into some lore on this one. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you let me know. And if there's any other kaiju you want me to cover, or really anything else you want me to draw, you can go ahead and drop a comment down below. I hope this video was fun for everyone. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like and maybe even hit that subscribe button. I'm going to try and post up videos every Friday and Sunday, but we'll see how that goes. Here's the final image, and I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.
Jesus wept.